Have you ever seen a car that makes you stop in your tracks, not just for a second but long enough to take in every curve, every chrome detail, every perfect proportion? Some cars are more than machines. They are rolling works of art, and the 1967 Buick Riviera is one of them. There's something about this car that commands respect. It doesn't scream for attention like a muscle car with racing stripes and loud exhausts. Instead, it speaks in a deep, confident voice, like a man who doesn't need to prove himself. You feel it when you see one glide past, its long, sculptured body reflecting the world like a polished jewel. This is a car designed not just to be driven, but to be admired. Stay with me until the end of this video, and you'll discover what makes the '67 Riviera a true masterpiece. We'll explore not just the specs and design, but the psychology behind why this car still captivates people after more than 50 years. By the end, you'll understand why the Riviera isn't just a car, it's an experience. The power of timeless beauty. There's a reason we remember certain cars while others fade into history. Science tells us that the human brain is wired to appreciate symmetry, proportion, and flow. When we see something that follows these principles, our minds recognize it as beautiful. The Riviera's designers understood this instinctively. Every line of this car was crafted to create a sense of balance, from its sleek fastback roofline to the perfect ratio between its front and rear sections. Think about the most beautiful things in life. A classic wristwatch, a tailored suit, a grand piano. They share a common trait: effortless elegance. The Riviera fits into this category. It doesn't rely on excessive ornamentation or gimmicks. It's refined but with a quiet sense of power beneath the surface. This is why people who appreciate craftsmanship are drawn to it, why it feels different from other cars. The Riviera isn't just another luxury coupe. It carries a unique blend of muscle and sophistication, two qualities that don't always go together. Some cars are raw and aggressive, built for speed above all else. Others are plush and comfortable, designed to isolate you from the road. The Riviera walks the fine line between these extremes. It has the heart of a performance car but the soul of a grand tourer. And that feeling is intentional. Psychological studies have shown that people are attracted to objects that balance contrast. Think about a well-aged whiskey, smooth but with a powerful kick. Or a classic leather armchair, firm yet inviting. The Riviera gives you that same sensation. It looks like a luxury car, but when you press the pedal, you feel the surge of a 430 cubic inch V8. It's the perfect mix of control and thrill. The emotional connection to classic cars? Why do some cars make us feel something deeper? If you ask a classic car owner, they won't just talk about horsepower or performance figures. They'll talk about memories, the way the car smells when you open the door, the satisfying click of a metal switch on the dash, the way the steering wheel feels in your hands. These details create an emotional bond that modern cars struggle to replicate. Psychologists call this associative memory. Certain sounds, sights, and even textures can bring us back to a time and place. Maybe it's the car your father drove. Maybe it's the model you dreamed about as a teenager. The Riviera is one of those cars that etches itself into people's memories. It represents an era when cars were more than just transportation. They were symbols of style, status, and ambition. The Riviera's place in time. To truly appreciate the 1967 Buick Riviera, you have to understand the world it was born into. The mid-1960s were a golden age for American design. Everything was bold: architecture, fashion, even music. Automakers were at the peak of their creativity, unafraid to experiment with new shapes and engineering ideas. Buick, a brand known for refined luxury, saw an opportunity to create something revolutionary. The Riviera was their answer. It wasn't trying to compete with the muscle cars of the era. It wasn't chasing Cadillac's ultra-luxury market either. Instead, it carved its own niche, one that blended elegance with raw performance. It was the choice of someone who wanted presence without excess, a person who appreciated power but didn't need to show off. Why it still matters today. The 1967 Riviera is more than just a piece of history. It's a reminder of what happens when design and engineering come together in perfect harmony. Today, we live in an era of efficiency, where computers control every aspect of a car, and design often takes a backseat to aerodynamics and fuel economy. But the Riviera represents a different philosophy, a time when cars were built to stir emotion first, and everything else came second. And that's why it still turns heads. People might not always know what it is when they see one on the road, but they know it's something special. It's a car that makes you slow down, take a second look, and appreciate the beauty of a time when automobiles were designed with passion. So as we take a closer look at this masterpiece, keep this in mind. The Riviera isn't just a car, it's a statement. And by the end of this video, you'll see why its legend lives on. When you look at the 1967 Buick Riviera, you're not just seeing a car, you're seeing a reflection of an era. The mid-1960s were a time of bold ideas and rapid change. America was booming. People wanted more than the basics. They wanted style, power, and sophistication. This desire wasn't just about cars, it was everywhere. From sleek skyscrapers to tailored suits, everything was crafted to make a statement. In the automotive world, competition was fierce. Muscle cars were rising, offering raw power at affordable prices. Luxury brands, on the other hand, focused on comfort and elegance. Buick found itself in the middle. They weren't interested in building a stripped-down street racer, and they didn't want to copy Cadillac's oversized luxury boats. Buick had a different vision, a car that combined performance with refinement, something bold but tasteful. That vision became the Riviera. When the first Riviera debuted in 1963, it was a revelation. People had never seen a car like it. It had European-inspired styling but the heart of an American V8. It was sleek, low-slung, and aggressive. It felt special, like it was built for someone who appreciated the finer things but still wanted a surge of power under their right foot. By 1967, Buick perfected that formula. The second-generation Riviera wasn't just an evolution, it was a masterpiece. The world in 1967 was changing fast. It was the height of the space race. Technology was advancing, and innovation was everywhere. Cars were no longer just about transportation. They were about identity. Driving a car like the Riviera told people who you were. You weren't just another face in the crowd. You had taste, you had ambition, and you expected the best. Buick understood this psychology. They knew that car buyers wanted more than horsepower. They wanted a car that reflected their lifestyle, something that turned heads in the office parking lot but felt just as comfortable on a long highway cruise. This understanding shaped every inch of the 1967 Riviera's design. At the time, General Motors, Buick's parent company, was the biggest and most powerful automaker in the world. They had the resources to push the boundaries of design and engineering. Buick's team, led by Chief Stylist Bill Mitchell, wanted to create something that stood out even within GM's impressive lineup. They took inspiration from luxury yachts, Italian sports cars, and the bold lines of American architecture. The result was a car that was both muscular and graceful. What many call a gentleman's muscle car. One of the most striking things about the '67 Riviera is how deliberate every design choice feels. The fastback roofline wasn't just for show, it gave the car a sense of motion even when standing still. The hidden headlights added a layer of mystery, making the front end look clean and aggressive. These weren't just styling tricks, they were psychological cues. Research shows that humans are drawn to objects that suggest movement and power. The Riviera's design triggers that instinct. You can't help but imagine it gliding down the highway, eating up miles effortlessly. But Buick didn't stop at aesthetics. They knew the Riviera had to deliver on the road. That's why they equipped it with the new 430 cubic inch V8 engine. This wasn't just any engine, it was a powerhouse, producing 360 horsepower and 475 lp-ft of torque. At the time, those numbers were serious business. But the power delivery wasn't rough or unrefined. Buick engineers tuned the engine to deliver smooth, effortless acceleration. It was the kind of power you felt without needing to show off. This balance between power and grace reflected the era's values. In the 1960s, being successful meant having control. People respected quiet confidence more than loud arrogance. The Riviera embodied that idea perfectly. It didn't need bright paint or racing stripes to prove itself. Its presence alone was enough. What made the Riviera even more unique was the way it blended luxury with performance. Step inside and you were greeted by a cabin that felt more like a private lounge than a car interior. Plush bucket seats wrapped in fine materials, a sweeping dashboard with chrome accents and polished wood trim. Every touch point felt solid, expensive, and carefully crafted. Buick wanted the driver to